This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi Glatstein. I was instructed that every time we start the show, we have to say Bruchim Abam to Koilel Agra de Pirka. Those are my instructions.
For the camera.
For the boss. Okay. Rabbi Glatstein, Parshas Chayei. So today the title of the Shiur is the case of the missing Malach. We have a missing Malach in this week's Parsha. Why is that? Because that Eliezer offers a tefillah to the Rabban Shalom. He says in Perek Chav Daled Pasuk Zayin, should say. He says, Hashem lekei hashamayim, asher lokachani mi beis avi me'eretz melati. This is right, the tefillah, of Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu says, Hashem lekei hashamayim, asher lokachani mi beis avi me'eretz melati, v'asher diber li, v'asher nishbar li lemar, l'zaracha atenes aretz hazois, hu yishlach malachai lefanecha. He will send forth your malach, his malach. He will send forth his malach, v'lakachta isha levni misham, and you will take a wife for my son from there. This is the tefillah of Avraham Avinu, that the Rebbe Shalom will give you siyata d'shmaya, Hashem will help you, Hashem will give you extra assistance. He will send a malach before you. Where's the malach? Where did he go? Avraham tells Eliezer, not just you'll be successful, that Hashem is going to send the malach. There is no Malach. You can look through the whole Parsha. Yeah, you can look through codes, you can look through, read it backwards. There's no Malach here. Where's the Malach?
How do we know? The guy's saying verse, the Malach has to appear and do something?
So we have something very interesting. And that the Grizz, the Briskarav, wants to know. He says everything's happening so quickly in the Parsha. Here, look. If you look at the tefillah, Eliezer also offers the tefillah to the Rebbe Shalom. Yeah, he's standing at the well, and all of a sudden, what happens? He sees Rivka, and he runs out to Rivka. Right? He runs to her. What does Rivka do? Rivka runs. Pasuk Vatamar, she runs again. What's everyone in such a rush for? Well, what's the big rush?
Maybe they're Russians.
Yeah? Well, why are they in such a hurry? They have to go do something. I mean, first of all, Eliezer is running to her, she's running to him. So you say, well, that's not a kasha. We know Chazal say, Kol ma'aseim shel tzadikim b'zrizus. All the tzadikim always move quickly. Yeah, but when Eliezer tells over the whole Ma'aseh to Laban and Besuel, he also says over, I was running, she was running. What do they care whether they're running or not? I mean, that's irrelevant. Why is that important? Why is it important? Yeah, it's one thing the Torah tells us, but why is it important that Eliezer is relaying to Laban and Besuel that everybody's running? I mean, they have to know that they were in a rush, or what's the big deal? And then, further, look in Pasuk Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Tes Vav. And Rabbi said, today's shiur, what we're going to focus on is that very often we hear midrashim, but you really, when you learn Chumash, you have to learn it with a fine-tooth comb. You got to really look at it with a magnifying glass. And you're going to see how, looking carefully at the words of the psukim, everything emerges just from the words of the psukim. Okay, take a look in Pasuk Tesvav, Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Tesvav. It's kedai to have Chumashim in front of you today.
Yeah, page 64.
You have, I don't know if there's Chumashim here. Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Chavav. Vayihi hu terem kila ledaber. He was barely able to get the words out of his mouth, right? He barely finished the tefillah. He's still, he's taking the 3 steps back. V'hine Rivka yotzes. All of a sudden Rivka's here already. I mean, give him a chance to, do his oisa shalom. And then, Hashem can, no. He can't even, shake this way and shake that way, and Rivka's already there.
That's where the Malach is. He pushed all the
Well, what's going on over here? Why is it happening so quickly? So the Brisker Rav tells us something very interesting. He says like this: when does Eliezer arrive in Haran? Right? When does he arrive in Haran? What?
It's not Erev.
Right? Le'esaraf. Right? L'fnai Right? The pasuk says he arrives. Take a look.
Which
The pasuk says.
Which pasuk you saying?
Okay, let's take a look.
Which parak?
Parak Chav Daled, pasuk Yud Aleph. Vayavri Chagamalim michutz la'yer al be'er hamayim le'es erev la'es tzeis hasharvas. It was toward evening. It wasn't evening yet. It was toward evening. That means Eliezer is coming, I don't know what, 20 minutes to Shkia, 15 minutes to Shkia. Now what tefillah does he say? Vayehi hu terem kila ledaber. Right? What's the tefillah? He says, Vayomar pasuk yud beis. Hashem Elokei Adoni Avram Hakreino lefanai Hayoim. Make it happen today. Now, I'm not waiting until tomorrow to find the shot. I want it to happen today. But there are only 15 minutes left in the day. He runs to Rivka. Rivka runs to him. She schleps him back home. They say, eat. He said, I can't eat. Let me tell you about the proposal. They say, sounds good. They drink l'chaim, mazel tov, shkiyas hachama. That's what happened. That's what the Torah says. The reason why everything happened so quickly is because Eliezer davened, Hakreino lefanai hayoim, make it happen today. And the only way it could possibly happen today is if everyone is running around like a chicken without a head. So why does Eliezer tell Laban and Besuel that he was running to her and she was running to him? Because he's saying, look how bashert this is. Because had we not been running so quickly, it never would have happened today. The fact that Hashkacha had it, that this is all able to happen in these 20 minutes, that shows that May Hashem Yasa Hadava.
He didn't want to lose that moment.
Right? But no, because it hadn't happened today. His tefillah was, right? Hayom.
Yes.
Hayom. That's
the Chris learns is the regular shkir. Chassidim learns the Benetam. The second shkir.
Okay, either way, shidduchim that don't happen always to happen so quickly, right? Look what the Gris says. This is in the Chidushei HaGriz, in the little black volume. Yesh Shloimer. Mishum dehu ba l'sham le'esav k'dus sevakra. He came toward evening. V'hu espalo and he daven hakrin el fanei hayoim. Make it happen today. Shakol yanas oid mi ba'yom. That everything should happen while it's still day. U'v'zeh rotzel adasim ha'etzliach Hashem darke k'mefurish ba'apsukim. Now, how is he going to know if this is May Hashem or, it's just happening? If it will taka happen today, it's obviously May Hashem. He runs to her. Because any other way, otherwise it would never happen that day. That's why the pasuk says, she hurried vatar kada al yada, and then again vatemayer vatar kada al shekes. Shahakol hayanasa bezrizos yisera. It was all happening very quickly. B'chtei sheigmer by b'yom, so that it should be completed that day. K'may shespal, like he davened. Uvezer ra tachlis hahatzlacha sheneskayim k'may she'amalei Avraham. And through the fact that it happened so quickly, he was able to recognize what Avraham told him, that I'll send a malach. Because otherwise, without this special siyata d'shmaya, it never would have happened. Yishach malacha yitcha v'seder d'b'loy hatzlach miyuchedes leis Hashem. If not for God's special hashkacha, yevshah b'shem oifen shekol yir also b'zman kotzer, because it would not have been possible to happen so quickly. So you say, nah, yeah.
Is there any significance of the Tamei and Mikra? That before he says Hashem Elokei Adonai Avraham, and Vayomar has the shalshelos.
Yeah.
Now we know we had the Smama has the shalshelos. And then they have the Vayemoim, Vayosef is the shalshelos. That kind of like has negative connotations.
Okay, there's a very important reason why there's a shalshelos over there, but not now. Okay, but so the Guru says that
we have a Hanamina. According to the Guru, there's a Hanamina that if it didn't happen that day, that it wasn't Meis Hashem.
No, but he wanted to, he was being menachesh. The Gemara says that if you want to be menachesh, like Eliezer Eben Avram, in other words, he's testing God, so to speak. He's saying, how am I going to know that this is mamish meis hashemayim? Everything's min hashemayim. But
so he wants to do.
So if everything's min hashemayim, why does Abraham have to say, "I'll send a malach"? Everything's min hashemayim. You need special siyata d'shmaya. He wanted to know if this was, be under the influence of the special siyata d'shmaya. So the Gris says, so maybe you say it happened so quickly because the Torah wants to say that Rivka moves fast, like all tzaddikim. He says, no, they ain't learned that because of Rivka. Don't say the Torah is just telling you Rivka's rizus. Why then would Eliezer relay to Laban and Besuel how quickly she was moving? Next line, that everything was happening with Hashkach Miyuchedes. Okay, a couple lines down. And even further, That's why the Torah says he was barely able to get the words out of his mouth, and Rivka was coming. Had Rivka appeared a minute later after he finished the tefillah, he would have been after Shkia Sacham already. So in order for Hashem to squeeze everything in before the day was finished, he didn't even get the tefillah out of his mouth, and Rivka had already appeared. Okay, so now we're learning that everything here had to happen extremely quickly, including this year, because we have a lot to do and not enough time. If you look in Parak Chav Daled, Pasuk Chav Tes, yeah, everybody's moving so quickly. Chav Daled Chav Tes. Rivka achu shmai Laban. Rivka had a brother, his name was Laban. The Chayei HaKadosh points out, normally by Rishaim it says their name first and then Ushmai. Why over here it's like we have Ushmai Bayaz. Here it says Ushmai Laban as if he's a big tzaddik. Ayin bar Chayei HaKadosh. By Yoratz Laban el ha'ish hachutz el ayin. Laban runs. Why is he running? Like we said, got to make the shkia. Vayihi keraisas, and Rashi says, why was he running? He knew Eliezer came with money. Yeah, he knew his customers. So vayihi keraisas hanezem v'satzmidim ayidei achayis. When he sees all the jewelry, uchsham is tibei Rivka vayavoy el ha'ish. He sees the jewelry and all of a sudden he slows down. I mean, I don't understand. If I were Laban and I wanted the money, so when you see the jewelry, that should confirm your hunch that this man, has the goods. Why all of a sudden does he slow down? Right? The Meshech Chachma wants to know. He's running to Rivka, but then when he sees the jewelry, vayavoy, then he takes his time. What?
She's got him hooked already.
So the Meshech Chachma says, well, how does the Parsha start? Va'avram zaken b'bayom v'Hashem berachas Avraham ba'koil. Rashi brings down a pshat, that he had everything. The Chazal bring down, Bakal was Avram Avinu's daughter. He even had a daughter called Bakal. So Laban figures, if Eliezer's coming, loaded, he's coming to get Laban to marry his daughter off to Bakal. Right? If Eliezer hears Eliezer's coming, must be Eliezer's the shadchan to marry Laban off to Bakal. So he comes running out to Eliezer. But then when he sees all the jewelry, it ain't for him, it's for his sister. Oh, okay, now, not so important. Now, forget this reason. That's what the Meshech Chachma says. It's not in the Meshech Chachma, but it's Mipi Hashma, it's brought down in the Pnina Mishuchim. Okay, weiter. Parak Chav Daled, Pasuk Lamed Aleph. Okay, Parak Chav Daled, Pasuk Vayomer, Boy, Baruch Hashem. They say, okay, come in. Lama Samiruchitz, what are you standing outside? Va'anoichi pinisi habayis, no problem, I'll give you a no smoking room. Right? I cleared out the house. Va'anoichi pinisi habayis, I cleared out the room, u'makoin lagmalim, and I have a place for the camels. So what does Rashi say? Pinisi habayis, I cleared out the house, me'avodas koichavim, from idolatry. I cleared out the house from idolatry. Yeah? How does Laban know that Eliezer is such a frummy, that he's not even going to stay over in the house if there's Avodah Zarah in the closet? How does Laban know that? Why does Laban telling Eliezer, by the way, all the Buddhas that I keep in the basement, I took out and I brought next door?
If he knew about Avram's daughter Bakol, he probably knew that Avram was also a religious person.
But did he know that Eliezer would be makbid on Avodah Zarah?
He knew that.
Are you makbid? Right? If you go to a hotel, you tell him take the Holly Bibble out of the right, the holy buy out of the thing. Yeah. So, right? You tell him to take the Bible out of the Eliezer. So, Lavan knew Eliezer was such a frum guy that he'd be makbid on Avodah Zarah. So listen to this. The Brisker Rav says also not in Chidushei Hagriz and not in the little black one and not in the blue one, but this is also Mipi Hashmo. He says like this: Eliezer already gave advance warning. I don't want Avodah Zarah in the house. When is that? Look in the Psukim. It doesn't say that in the Psukim. You got to know Targum Onkelos. Listen to this. If you look in Parak Chav Daled, Pasuk Chav Gimel.
What are you looking at? What number is it?
I'm going to look at number 5. But look in the Psukim. Vayomer bas Vayomer bas miat. He says to her, "Who are you? You're the daughter of who? Hagida Nali. Please tell me. Hayesh beis avich makaim lanu lalin. Does your father have a place for us to sleep?" There's an extra word in this pasuk. Lanu. Should say Hayesh beis avich Makai Mullen. Does your father have a place to sleep? Obviously, it's for us. We know he sleeps in a bed. We're the guests. We want it. Why lanu? Yeah. Says the Targum. Ha'is beis avich asar kosher. The extra word lanu means you have a place appropriate for us. A kosher place. From the word lanu, the Targum understands, and obviously Laban understood. It's not that, Laban just trying to make him comfortable. That was what Eliezer was asking for. You have a kosher place for us to sleep. What does Rivka say back? She avoids the question like a good politician. Gam teven, gam misbay ravi manu, gam makoim lalon. She doesn't say gam makoim lachem lalon. We have a place to sleep. We have a place to sleep. So it says the Brisker Rav, how do Chazal know, and how did Laban know that Eliezer was makrin avodah zarah? Because he told them. That's it. How do we know he told them? Targum Onkelos is medayek in the pasuk. So it's interesting. You can have a Targum, you read it, a million times, you don't really understand the added point the Targum is saying. But Targum is deriving from the word lanu, kosher lana, kosher. Okay.
In her response in the Targum, it also says kosher.
Okay, that had that kosher, yeah. Good question. It's a good question. He's asking that this pshat is a little bit questionable because when she responded, she also responded asar kosher. That's why I put it on the sheet. Yeah, so good. It's a ha'ara on what he's saying. Yeah.
Why would you say you said she's a politician?
Because that's what the Brisker Rav says. The Brisker Rav says that because the fact that she didn't say lachem, she was avoiding the question. But the Targum doesn't quite say it like that. But if you look in number 10, the way the Brisker Rav says it over, the last paragraph, Al Kain Kisha Sipra called Ram Lachia Lavan.
Which one? Number 6.
Number 6. Thank you. He says V'Rivka Sheyada, the second to last paragraph at the end. Rivka that knew sheyish avodah zara b'bayis lo yansaloi. All she answered was kimak makom lalon. Ach lo yamra loi gam makom lachem lalon. Okay. Now let's go a little bit further. Perek Chav Daled pasuk lamed tes.
Are we trying to conveniently justify the phraseology here that Eliezer wants to make sure that they run a kosher house? He knew they are. Why?
Kosher doesn't just mean
a proper place.
Kosher means kosher v'yosher.
Why are we trying to say, go hide your idol somewhere before I come in?
He was saying, I'm not gonna stay in this home if it's not an appropriate environment. That's what he was asking for, right?
Why would he want to take a daughter from a house like that?
Okay, so that's a kasha on Avram Avinu. What's he going to his family who are there, a bunch of Ovdei Avodah Zarah? Let him go to his Talmidim who believed in one God. Right? He had a lot of Sanefesh Asher Asu B'charan. He had many Talmidim who were not Ovdei Avodah Zarah. So what's he going to a Shidduch in Chutz La'aretz by Ovdei Avodah Zarah? He could do a much better Shidduch with his own Talmidim. Very good question. But not now. Okay. Look in the Malbim. Look in the Malbim. The Malbim asked that question. Okay. Now let's go to Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Lamed Tes. Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Lamed Tes. Va'omer el Adoini. And I said to my master, Ulai lo selei cha'isha acharai. Perhaps this woman will not want to follow me. Yeah? So Rashi picks up on the fact that Ulai is spelled without a vav. Yeah? This is Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Lamed Tes. Ulai lo selei cha'isha acharai. This is Eliezer telling Laban and Bethuel that I told Abraham, maybe this girl's not going to want to follow me. So Rashi says, Eli Ksiv, it's spelled Eli. Bas Hoisaloi Eliezer. Eliezer had his own daughter. And Eliezer was looking for an excuse that Abraham should turn to him. That
Eli Lotel. What is the diuk here?
Right? Ula, Eli.
Eli Lotel.
Come to me. Eli, come to me. That lady is not going to want to come after you. I guess you have to do it like that. Eli, come to me. Right? Amalei Abraham. So Abraham says, no. What? Beni Baruch, my son is blessed. V'ata Aror, and you're cursed. Ve'ein Aror medabek bebaruch, and someone who is cursed cannot cling to someone who is blessed. So Rav Avi's asking, good, yeah? Okay, first of all, who cares if it has a vav, it doesn't have a vav? Either way.
But you can read it a different way.
Okay, could we read? I mean, you could spell ulai without a vav.
Sure.
But, okay. And also, okay, let's say it means Eli. Yeah? Eli lo yiselecha isha acharai. It still doesn't read properly. Okay.
But couldn't it be Kaylee also?
What are you going to do with that? Yeah?
Maybe she wouldn't want to follow the precepts of the Kaddish Baruch Hu. Kaylee will say that. She won't follow after my Kaddish.
So the question is, how exactly do we get this drasha that Eliezer specifically wanted his own daughter to marry Yitzchak? So there's a famous vart from the Gra, from the Vilna Gaon, and the Vilna Gaon says like this: there are two ways to say maybe in the Torah. There's pen, maybe, right? For example, pen yifta levavchem, pen yia davram levavcha b'liyal, pen yia b'chem shorish rosh v'lana, pen yia b'chem isha yisha. Okay? And then there's ulai. Let's say ulai, like we have ulai l'sei lecho isha, ulai yisa panai, ulai yibane, ulai yesh chamishim tzadikim. They both mean maybe. When do you use one, and when do you use the other?
What about Efshar?
Efshar is, not in the Chumash. Not in the Chumash. There's pen, and there's ulai.
I think the difference is when you aren't really sure when something. I'm not sure which is which, but I think one is when you're really not sure which is something's going to happen, and the other is where it actually.
You're sure. So the Gra says that it depends what you want. If it's always maybe, it's always 50-50. If you're hoping yes, it's ulai. Ulai yesh chamishim tzadikim. Maybe, hopefully there is. Ulai yibana mimena. So it says, I'll give you Hagar. Maybe you'll have a child from her. I hope it happens. Right? Ulai uchal lihilachem bai. Maybe we'll be able to fight them. Hopefully, right? Ulai is with hopefulness.
It's a positive.
Hopefully.
Positive.
Pen is hopefully not.
Yeah.
Pen yifta levavchem. Perhaps your heart will be seduced. I hope not. Pen yesh b'chem shoresh rosh velana.
We don't want that.
We don't want that to happen. Pen is a lav in the Torah. Whenever the Torah says pen, it's a lav. So Chazal see that if Eliezer is saying ulai lo yisayve isha, maybe the woman won't want.
I wish.
Why does it say ulai? It should say pen, maybe, I hope not. Why is he saying ulai? I hope she doesn't. Oh, he must have had an ulterior motive. What was their ulterior motive? Ulterior motive is he wanted to marry off Yitzchak to his own daughter. Okay. Now the question on this is, right, this is the famous pshat of the Gra, that the difference between ulai and pen. The question is, we have two stiras to this in Tanakh. We'll talk about one of them. Yaakov Avinu, he tells his mother, I can't go in to get the bracha. Why? Ulai yemusheni avi. Maybe my father will feel me. What? Right? So he was hoping that that Yitzchak would catch him. Of course not. He don't want to get caught. But according to the Gra, ulai means hopefully yes. So the Gra says like this. Actually, Yaakov Avinu was such an ish emes, and he was so sincere and wholesome that he would have preferred being caught and the honest truth coming to the forefront than being an imposter. That's what it means. Ulai Yemusheni, he was hoping. In other words, think of a better way. Think of an alternative option. Because Ulai Yemusheni Avi, I want my father to catch me. I don't want to pull the wool over his eyes. Okay.
That would go against the desires of his mother.
What?
That would go against
He did it.
Okay, but it wouldn't be dishonest. He would say, I don't want to do what you want me to do. But to trick my father, I don't feel comfortable doing that. That's what he's saying. Okay. Now here's a big problem. Here is a big problem. The problem is like this. We know that this whole episode is repeated twice in the Chumash. First, when it actually happened, and then again Eliezer relays to Laban and Mesuel the entire episode. And from here Chazal derive Yafeh Sichasan Shel Avdei Avos Mitarasan Shalbanim. Why is it that Chazal only derive from the second time when Eliezer is telling Laban and Besuel, and I told Avraham Avinu, Ulai loisoi vehoisha, and then Chazal derive, it says Ulai without a vav. From here we see that Eliezer had, ulterior motives, and he really wanted to marry Yitzchak to his own daughter. Why the first time when Eliezer tells Abraham, Abraham says, I want you to get a shech for my son, and there it says, Ulai loisoi vehoisha with a vav. Why over there is there no remes to this? Why is the remes to the ulterior motive of Eliezer only the second time it's mentioned and not the first time? Okay? So you have two answers to this kasha.
What is it? Avraham is on to him.
What? Again, it says the same thing. You have, for example, Chaf Daled Lamed Aleph. Chaf Daled Lamed Aleph.
Yeah. Because the first time he's talking to Avraham. And if he would change it, and he shows what he really wants, and he wouldn't trust him as a shliach. The second time he's talking to Laban. To Laban he can
say the truth?
Yeah.
Listen to that. Listen. The first time it says Chaf Daled Hey. Excuse me. The first time is Chaf Daled Hey. It says Vayomer Elav Havet Ulai Loisei Vehoisha. And there it says Ulai with a vav. And now the second time it says Ulai Loisei Vehoisha. It's Chaf Daled Lametes Ulai without a vav. So says Taisus, this is called the Moshe of Zekanim, when the Balei Taisus on the Chumash. So he says like this. The first time Eliezer understood Pashat, he can't marry his daughter to Yitzchak. Yitzchak is Baruch, he is Arur, it ain't a Shidduch. But then, all of a sudden, what's the first thing that Laban says to Eliezer when he comes into the house? Chaf Daled, Lamed Aleph. They say, Vayomer, boy Baruch Hashem. They give him a bracha.
He calls him Baruch Hashem.
Says, I'm a Baruch. Maybe this is a forget. Then who needs you? I'm a Baruch now. I'll make a shidduch with my own daughter. Okay, now that Laban.
Who'd you get your askama from?
Yeah. That's what Taisus says. That's what Taisus says. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. Taisus says that Lefi Shemetchila Yada Eliezer Shelo Yisa Yitzchak Bitay Lefi Shein Baruch Medavik Ba'ara. Aval Achar Shenem like Baruch Hashem Amayatu Yuchal Yitzchak Lidavik Bi Lekach Amar Ulai Chaser. Okay. Now, ready for this?
So in the first part it also says Lo Sova.
Yeah.
Here it says Lo Sela. It doesn't say Lo Sova. In the first part it says Ulai Lo Sova Ish Alalaka. But here it leaves out the Lo Sova. It says just Lo Sela Isha.
I hear.
There's a difference left out the Sova.
It's a good ha'ara. What are we going to do with that?
It must be in the same place as the Shalshelas.
Well, we'll have to work on. We have to save things for next year.
We'll find something, I'm sure.
You have to talk last year in the Shiur about Ulai. He was actually 6 times kosher and Malach, and you made some kind of a svara about why they were, and I think you related it also to Pen. I think we discussed it this year. All right.
Okay.
Who's paying attention?
So, good. Like this. Now this, what we're going to say now, Mamish, it's a go'onistic of art. This is from Reb Chaim Brisker, yeah? Ready for this? Says Reb Chaim, the first time that Eliezer tells Abraham, maybe this woman's not going to want to follow me, you can't darshan anything. Avraham Avinu is coming, saying, Eliezer, get me a shidduch from out of town. So Eliezer has every right in the world to say, what kind of job is this? Why in the world would she want to follow me back to your house? It's a very reasonable concern that Eliezer has. We're not going to darshan anything. We're going to say, he has ulterior motives. He has ulterior motives. He's sending him hundreds of miles away for some kind of ridiculous mission. I mean, why would a little girl's going to follow some slave hundreds of miles through the desert to some unknown man? I mean, you got to be crazy. Eliezer says, why is this girl going to want to follow me? There's nothing we could darshan from the fact that Eliezer said, Ulai loisoi v'ha'isha. But now Eliezer is sitting in the house of the potential mechutanim, Laban and Besuel. And he's trying to convince them, please allow your daughter to come with me. And then he says, by the way, when Avram gave me this job, you know what I told him? Maybe she's not going to want to follow me. What kind of insane thing is it to say to the future mechutanim, I was thinking, why would any girl want to follow me back into the midbar? He's going to shtar the whole shidduch. Why would he tell that to Laban and Besuel that he doesn't think anyone in their right mind would follow him? Why is he saying that? He's potentially destroying the whole shidduch. from the fact, this is Reb Chaim Brisker, the first time that the Torah says, it's a valid concern. But why tell that valid concern to Laban and Besuel? The fact that that is coming out of his mouth at this time, that must mean that there's some kind of ulterior motive going on. Hitaka is trying to stir the shidduch, maybe subconsciously. He's trying to stir the shidduch. Why? Because he wanted to marry off his own daughter. That's not a beautiful pshat. That's also not. This is not in the Griz al Torah, not in Chidushei HaGriz, not in Shaila Torah. This is in the Sefer Torah Chaim. Also another Brisker Sefer. Okay. Yeah.
The second time when he's repeating it, this is Eliezer's self-analysis of his words. When he repeated it the second time, he caught himself. The first time, he didn't realize that he had this nagiya. But when you repeat something the second time, you catch it.
Okay, very nice. Shkayach. Okay. Now, very interesting. Rashi says like this. Eliezer comes to Laban and Besuel, Perak Chav Daled, Pasuk Mem Beis. Chav Daled Mem Beis. Hine Anoichi. Excuse me. Va'avai hayom el hayin. I came today to the well. Va'oimar. And I said, Hashem l'kei Adoni Avraham yeshchana matzliach darki asher anochi hoylech aleha. Yeah? Sounds like he's about to be the Baal Musaf on Rosh Hashanah. Right? That's where it comes from. Right? Yeshchana matzliach darki asher anochi hoylech aleha. Okay. Says Rashi, Va'avai hayom. Hayom yatzasi. Today I left. V'hayom basi. And today I came. How could you leave and come the same day? Mikan shekafza lo ha'aretz yad kvitzas adarach. The earth jumped to him.
That's the Malach.
Who told Rashi that? Because Eliezer said, I came today? Yeah. He's telling them, I didn't come yesterday, I came today. But how do you see in the words, I came today, that they had kvitzas ha'aretz? And then the big whopper is, Rashi decides to tell us what Rabbi Acha says in the Bereshis Rabbah. Amar Rabbi Acha. Yafeh sichasan shel avdei avos mitayrasan shel banim. God loves the chatter of the slaves of the fathers even more than the Torah of their children. Why? Shaharei Parsha shel Eliezer kfula b'Torah. This whole Parsha of Eliezer, first the Torah tells us what happened, then Eliezer tells us in detail again what happened. And yet we have laws of Hilchos Shabbos that the Torah just, adds a little extra ice, and that's how we teach me the halacha. There are many actual principles of Torah that are only given in some kind of hint. So we see how much Hashem loves the avos, that even the talk, the chatter of the sermons of the avos are more beloved to Hashem than the Torah.
But he doesn't say why. What's the reason?
Okay, good question. But what is it? Why is Rashi telling me this now? What does this got to do with the pasuk Mem Beis, Va'avai Hayom? If Rashi wants to tell me, make a point of the fact that we're repeating the entire episode, he should say it at the beginning of the drasha of Eliezer, right? He should say like this. Pasuk Lamedad, Vayoymar, Eved Avraham Anochi, Vashem Berachas Ani Ma'od, Vatelet Sarah, Vayashbieni, Imloya Beisavi Telech, Vayoymar Ladonei, Ulai Losech Lisha. At the beginning of the drasha, Rashi should say, if you're getting bored in the shul on Shabbos and you're wondering why we're reading this again, you should know, Yafas Yichas and Shalabdei Avos, Yosem Mitaras and Shalbanim. But why is Rashi sticking like in the middle of the drasha? Rashi calculated this is where people are starting to yawn. Why over Pasuk Mem Beis in the middle of nowhere? Rashi says, by the way, we're repeating this. And what's it got to do with the fact that Eliezer had Kvitzas Haderach? Right? It seems like Rashi is connecting the two ideas. Eliezer had Kvitzas Haderach. By the way, Yafes Sichas and Shalom Avdei Avos.
This lotion of Avo isn't a little bit of a strange for Avo. It should have said Basi. It came. Avo, I know the verb changes it from Asid to Amar,
yeah.
And the Targum says Basis and Nusachacha Basisi. So there's got to be something in this lashon of Avon that troubled Rashi. Maybe from there he learns it out.
Maybe. So listen to what we're going to say. What?
How's it possible, Baba Yom, that he went back the same day? He slept over there a couple of days already because they wouldn't let it go.
But he didn't even sleep yet.
No, I'm saying he slept. How could he didn't go back the same day?
No. He's telling them that, by the way, I came today. I got here today.
Got here. Didn't go back home.
I got here. In other words, I haven't been in the neighborhood. And it wasn't like last night I stayed in Holiday Inn, the next night in Howard Johnson, and today I came here. This is my first day in the city here. Okay, so here we have a vart from Harav Moshe Shmuel Glasner. Rav Moshe Shmuel Glasner was the 4th generation from the Chassam Sofer. He wrote the Daraviyah on Chulin.
I know.
Yeah? And he wrote the Sefer Shvivei Eish, which is out of print. But I got a hold of an old edition and I made a photocopy of it. So this is from the Sefer Shvivei Eish, courtesy of the printing store near Mendelssohn's Pizza. So he says like this. He has a tremendous diak, mamish, amazing diak in the Psukim. Listen to this. When the Torah tells us about Eliezer going to Laban and Besuel, the pasuk says in Perek Chav Daled, pasuk Yud, Vayikach ha'eved asara gemalim, Vayelech v'chol tov adam yadav, Vayakam Vayelech el aram naraim. The Torah talks about him going. Nowhere does the Torah ever say he came. The Torah doesn't say anywhere he came. Then, when the Torah repeats it, in Chav Daled Mem Beis, the Torah says, Va'avai hayom, he came. The Torah doesn't say he went. Right? In order to get to a destination, you need to go and get there. There are two parts. The first half of the story, when the first time it's repeated, it says Vayelech, he went. And for some reason, he's just there, but the Torah never says he got there. It doesn't say Uba Aram Narayan. And then when he repeats it, it just says Va'avai, but it doesn't say Vayelech. Why is that? It must be Hainu Hach. The going and the getting there happen simultaneously.
That's
Why? He had Kitzas Haderach. In other words, how does Rashi know Va'avai Hayai means he got there on the same day he left? Because since the first time the Torah says over the story, it says Vayelech, he was going, and the Torah never says he got there. And the second time it just says he got there, it never says he was going. It must be the Vayelech and the Va'avai are the same thing. How did that happen? Kvitzas Haderach. So Rashi's Balavar Kasha. What kind of drasha is that? Maybe no. Maybe this is how the Shvivei Eish is not the Rashi. Right? How does Rashi know there's Kvitzas Haderach? The fact that the first time it just says Vayelech, and the second time it says Va'avai, it must be those two things happen simultaneously. So you say, maybe not. Maybe the Torah is always makatzer. Maybe the Torah is just being brief and concise. And the first time it just says Vayelech, and it doesn't have to say the Va'avai. And the second time it says Va'avai, it doesn't have to say the Vayelech. How could you be such a how could you be so meduyak? How could you be such a stickler for the language? To say, why doesn't it say here and there? It must be happening simultaneously. Says Rashi, I'll tell you why. Because since Yafeh Sichas and Shalav De'avos, since God loves so much what happened to the Avadim Avos, and it tells you every single detail, so then we have a question, why did the Torah omit half the detail the first time and half the detail the second time? It must be it's omitting it to teach you that the two happen simultaneously. That is why Rashi puts these two ideas together. How does Rashi know Kaf Tzalai Haaretz? The fact that since it is so beloved to Hashem, every detail in the Torah left out, the arriving the first time and the coming the second time, it must be the two happen simultaneously. That's the Hemshech Hadvarim in Rashi. Otherwise, Rashi is bringing down a random Chazal at the wrong place. So Rav Moshe Shmuel Glasner writes that the Rashi is bringing down Rav Acha to explain from where Chazal know he had Kvitzas Haaretz.
Rashi says it comes from Hayom Yotzosi. He says,
it doesn't say that.
Hayom, I mean, it does. If Rashi's talking about the Yotzasi and the Navasi, if Rabbi Glatstein was correct, then Rashi would have said his word a little differently, because we use the Yelech and the fact that it doesn't say.
From the fact that it doesn't say Vayelech, Rashi learns that you could focus and emphasize the Hayom. Otherwise, it could just say, I came today. Right? I came to your house today. Doesn't mean I came today and I also left today.
It would seem to me that if you're going on a trip, you start early in the morning. And if it happens simultaneously, why would
he come in the evening? Kvitzas Haderach could mean that something that was supposed to happen, in 40 days.
300 kilometers. You cannot walk in one day. Even if you go in
Kvitzas Haderach. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the Hayom itself in Pasuk Mambei is extra. We don't need to know. It says, I came to right, and it says, you know,
I hear.
in Pasuk Test, Dorton.
I hear what you're saying. I hear. Okay, let's move on. Then finally, they give Eliezer to eat, and Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Nun Hey. Vayomer achiha v'ima teishav hanari tanu yam mayasa. Her brother and her mother say to Eliezer, let the girl stay with us a year or 10 months. So Rashi wants to know, where is Besuel? Says Rashi, Besuel hechan haya. Says Rashi, hu haya right to la'akev. Besuel wanted to interfere. Uba Malach. And the Malach came and killed him. Says Rav David Soloveitchik. He's the Rosh Yeshiva in one of the Brisk Yeshivas today. We found the missing Malach. The Malach that Abraham said, I'm going to send before you to make sure everything goes okay. And we said, where did the Malach go? The Malach came when we needed him. Besuel tried to interfere, says Rashi. Besuel Eichan Haya? Who are you right to lack? Ubama. That was the Malach that Abraham Avinu prayed for.
So it's too simple.
Oh, see, Mechaven, Baruch Hashem. Yeah. See, good. I was able to trick you, right?
He gets the credit.
What?
He gets the credit.
We'll give him credit. Save him a brownie. Okay.
There's a medrash that says that they wanted to kill Eliezer and take the stuff. But,
okay, so we're going to get to the poison stuff. We're going to get to the poison.
Yeah.
Okay, right? So he writes over here. What do you need a malach for? Where did Besuel go? So Rashi says, "Who writes to Lakiv? Malach ve'misuf." He says, we found the missing malach. Okay, fine. Rabbeinu Bechai though says that this malach is a different malach. Why? Perek Chav Daled, Pasuk Tezvav. Chav Daled Tezvav.
It has to be a different malach because the first malach was sent so that he should be Metzli to find somebody, and one malach can only have one mission. So the malach that killed Besuel had to be a different malach, a different mission. You can't relate these two missions as being similar.
As they say in the class, that there's more than one way to kill someone. But okay. Rabbeinu Bechai says, Per Chav Daled, Pasuk Tezvav. Chav Daled Tezvav. Yeah? Vayihi hu terem kila ledaber. So Rabbeinu Bechai wants to know what's hu? It's an extra word. Vayihi hu. Yesh l'zbayim b'toisefes milas hu. Should say vayihi kachalois ledaber. So says Rabbeinu Bechai an amazing deal. In the beginning of the Parsha, Eliezer is called an Eved. You look, Chav Daled Pasuk Hey, Ha-Eved. Chav Daled Yotes, Ha-Eved. Chav Daled Yud, Ha-Eved. All of a sudden, in Pasuk Chav Daled Chav Aleph, Chav Daled Chav, V'Ha'ish Mishtayla. All of a sudden, he's no longer an Eved. He's Ha'ish. Chav Zayin. Chav Zayin. Vayomer Baruch Hashem.
Vayikod ha'ish vayishtachu.
Yeah, Vayikod ha'ish vayishtachu. Lamed. Right? Koi diver elai ha'ish. Lamed. Lamed beis. Ha'ish. Nun beis. So all of a sudden, in the beginning of the Parsha, he's ha'eved, 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 ha'eved. He sees Rivka. He's called ha'ish, 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 ha'ish. And amazingly, after Laban and Besuel ask him, after Laban and the mother ask him to the Shidduch, he's demoted again to an Eved. Nun Beis, Nun Gimel. He's Eved. Look, take a look. Pasuk Nun Beis. Right after they're asking him to the Shidduch, Vayikash Shama Eved Avram, Nun Gimel, Vayotzei HaEved. So what's Pshat? In the beginning of the Parsha, he's an Eved. The end of the Parsha, he's an Eved. He gets to the house of Laban and Besuel, he's Ha'ish. Says Rabbeinu Bechai, who in Tanakh is called Ish?
Malach.
Which Malach? Gavriel, very good. Gavriel is always called Ha'ish. Like when Yosef is looking for his brothers, what does the Pasuk say? Says Rabbeinu Bechai, that's what it means. Vayihi hu terem kilo ladaber. Who refers to the Shechina, God, like we say every morning. Hu asanu v'layanachnu. Or we say in Bamidbar Perek Yechas ve'eved halevi hu. that shows that God sent special siyata d'shmaya al yedei Malach. So like this. In Pasuk Tesvav, Vayihu Taram Kila Ledaber. Look in Pasuk Chaf Aleph. V'ha'ish mishtayla. V'ha'ish means now he's accompanied by the siyata d'shmaya of the Ish, of the Malach. So now he's no longer referred to as the Eved because he has special assistance. V'ha'ish mishtayla. He wants to know. Lo das ha'etzliach Hashem darkoi. Now from now on he's only called Ha'ish. Chavav, Vayikaid, Ha'ish. Lamed, Ha'ish. Because this was the accompaniment of the Malach, like it says in Sefer Daniel. V'ha'ish Gavriel. Or in Bereshis Lamed Zayin, Vayomer Ha'ish Nasu Mizeh. So actually Rabbeinu Bechai learns that this Malach wasn't necessarily the Malach that poisoned Besuel, but this was the Malach that was accompanying him throughout his voyage. So he asked, where do we see the Malach? Ha'eved at the beginning, at the end, Ha'eved, in the house of Laban and the Besuel is called Ha'ish. Ha'ish is the word for the Malach. Okay. Now, one last... He's accompanied by the Malach. He's upgraded because he had this... But as soon, it's an amazing thing, as soon as Laban and Besuel are maskim to the Shidduch, right?
He goes back to becoming an Eved.
He goes back to becoming an Eved. Yeah, let's take a look at that. See... As soon as they say, Hine Rivka lefanecha kach v'lech, v'hikash Shama Eved Avraham. Okay. One last thing. And that is, Vayusam lefanav le'achel, Vayomer lo'oichal adem dibarti devaroi, Vayomer daber. They placed the food in front of him, and he said, I can't eat until I speak my piece. And they said, speak. And of course, Chazal tell us that they wanted to poison Eliezer. Right? They wanted to poison, and in fact...
Not to get the jewelry?
No, they wanted to poison Eliezer. If you look in we pointed out, in Pasuk Lamed Hey...
What would be the purpose of poisoning? To get the jewelry, no?
You want to take the daughter away.
Take the daughter away. Focus on the other side.
Right, we pointed out, in Pasuk Nun Hey, it says Vayan, right? Achiha v'ima. What happened to
Betuel?
Right, Besuel was died. The Malach knocked him off. How did the Malach knock him off? So now we're learning Pasuk Lamed Gimel. Vayusam lefanav lechal. They placed the food in front of him.
He changed the plates.
So says the Baal HaTurim. The Baal HaTurim says, and Chazal tells us that they tried to poison Eliezer. So I want to know, from where do we see that they try to poison Eliezer? So the Baal HaTurim says, Vayusam lefanav lechal, it's read Vayusam, but it's ksiv Vayisam. In other words, says the Baal HaTurim, Vayisam, Vayihisam, and it was poison. Okay, so the how do we know there was poison? From the ksiv, Or the Baal HaTurim says, is a good one. You ready? Baal HaTurim says, it says twice Vayisam. Here, Vayisam lefanav, and Vayisam ba'arayin. In other words, what they want to do to Eliezer? Put him in the aron.
Put him in the box.
Right? So that's another remez. Chassam Sofer says, also very cute, he says, it's ksiv Vayisam, and it's kri Vayusam. They both mean to put, but Vayisam means to actively put. Vayusam means to put in a way where it's not noticeable what's being put. Says Chassam Sofer, that means food was placed twice in front of Eliezer. The first time it was placed intentionally, and it was clear. Who was that? Besuel and Laban put food in front of Eliezer. But there was another time that food was placed in front of Eliezer where he didn't notice. And that's when the Malach switched the portions. Why did the Malach have to switch the portions? Must be it was poison. So Vayisam is what was actively put. Vayusam is what was unnoticeably put. Okay? That's what the Chassam Sofer says. The Targum Yonasan, there's a Parshas on Targum Yonasan ben Uziel. There's a Parshas on Targum Yonasan ben Uziel that says another way we know that they're trying to poison him. How? Vayusam lifanav. They put it in front of him. For some reason, no one else got that food. Right? Lefanav. Why? Must be there's a reason for that. Okay. So today we're going to explore very quickly one other reason how Chazal know that Eliezer was being poisoned. Okay? And here's the question. Here's the proof. Gemara tells us in Masechta Pesachim, Chumash Shiur Melacha Balabayis Aseh. Whatever the Balabayis tells you to do, you got to do. He wants you to stand on your head, you stand on your head. He wants you to play the harmonica, that's what you got to do. Chutz mitzeh. Now this Gersa Chutz mitzeh, is it a Gersa, is it not a Gersa? We'll discuss that a little bit. But there's a story brought down in the Hakdam of the Bir Hagra that one time, the Hakdam of the Bir Hagra was written by the sons of the Gra, and they relate that one time the Gra went over to someone's house and somebody brought the Gra something to eat, some cholent, and the Gra took a spoonful and it was disgusting, and the Gra forced himself to eat it and he vomited. No. And then the guy comes back and, why don't you eat some cholent, some more? And the Gra takes it again and does it. And the same thing, nachamali. And then, he goes out to bring a drink and the guy says, oh, why don't you try some more? And the Gra is like forcing the food down his throat, no matter how terrible it is. And somebody asked him, why are you doing that? It's terrible. You're making yourself sick. So the Gra said, look, so the Gemara says, Kol ma sha'omer lecha balabayis aseh. Whatever the balabayis tells you got to do, that means you're mitzvah to do that. You have to do that. Until when? Up to the point where you're going to give up your life. Ad shetetzei nafshe. So the Gra says, I have no choice but to eat the food until I'm at the point where I can't take it anymore. So Tosfos asks, how could Eliezer say, no, I'm not going to eat the food, but he's mitzvah to eat the food, because and if a balabayis puts food in front of you, that's tantamount to them saying you got to eat. So why is Eliezer refusing to eat? After all, the Vilna Gaon says that if the balabayis tells you to eat, you mamish must eat even if it's terrible. Must be, you know why he wasn't eating? Because it's ad shetetzei nafshay. But if it's actual poison, that's the only time you're exempt from the commandment of Chumash Amracha Balabayis Aseh Chutz Mitzeh. One last thing.
How did he know?
Kagim Yonason says the Argish Bey. He's Margish. Okay. This din, Chumash Amracha Balabayis Aseh Chutz Mitzeh. I just want you to know, not everybody agrees Imamish got to eat. The Mishnah Berurah says it applies to anything but food. Halach al-Maisa, if you go to someone's house and the balabayis, wants you to eat something that doesn't agree with you, you don't have to listen. It's talking about other things that are in the house. The question is, what does it mean chutz mitzeh? Chutz mitzeh. So the Bir Halacha says chutz mitzeh means whatever he tells you to do in the house, you got to do. But if he tells you to do something out of the house, you're not mechuyev to listen because he's not your balabas anymore. You're not in his house anymore. Sfas Emes says that the girsa is Chumash Amracha Balabayis Aseh. Finished. Chutz mitzeh was put in later. When? By the Suda of Kamsa bar Kamsa, where he tried to throw the guy out of the meal, right? And the guy had no choice but to listen and to leave. So because of the tragedy that occurred when Kamsa threw out the friend, so Chazal changed. You got to do anything. But not when he tells you to leave. Because when he tells you to leave, you never know what kind of disaster could happen. Okay? And finally, we're going to learn the pshat of the Shlach HaKadosh, Chumash Amar Lecha Balabayis Aseh Chutz Mitzeh. And that is, says the Shlach HaKadosh, even though if you look in the Zayar, it's mashma that there's certain averos you can't do tshuva for. There's certain averos that are so strict you can't do tshuva for. It's not true. You could do ein lecha davar ha'omed b'fnei. You could do tshuva for anything. You could do, because even Acher, God said to Acher, Shuvu banim shoivavim, anyone could do tshuva chutz me'acher, except for Acher. But we know even Acher had a takana in the end. Even Acher could have done tshuva. Says the Shla, who's the balabayis? God. Kamasha amar lecha balabayis aseh. Wherever Hashem tells you have to listen to, chutz mitzeh. But when he says leave, I'm not interested in you, you can't do tshuva anymore, you don't have to listen. Because ein lecha davar ha'omed.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.